As cars are becoming less and less reliable and more expensive to repair, we are seeing vehicles being left abandoned now more than ever. So what happens when you leave your car at the shop, and what happens to all these vehicles that are being left abandoned? You may have asked yourself this question if you've ever had car troubles that were expensive to repair, and while people are usually responsible and get their vehicles fixed or have them towed away if they can't afford the repairs, in the midst of cars being so expensive to repair today, lots of decent vehicles are being left abandoned at repair facilities. So what happens to these cars? Now first, I want you to go ahead and comment while you're watching this video today. Do you have a car that needs to be repaired? Are you thinking about leaving it at a shop? Or if you just need options to go through, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and feel free to email me at justcallmeeddie1@gmail.com and I will help you out any way I can. So what happens to all of these cars? Well, most of these vehicles end up at auctions across the country, from insurance auctions to dealer wholesale auctions. But there's a messy process to get to that point, so let's start at the beginning. A customer brings their vehicle in, and let's say the car won't start. They get a diagnosis, and the service advisor tells them it's a bad motor, and it's probably going to be about $8,000 to replace it. Let's say that car is only worth about $5,000. The customer doesn't see the value in putting a motor in it, so they have two options at that point. They could either get their car towed out of there, pay the diagnostic charge for the shop, and figure out something to do with the car, or they could have the shop or dealership scrap it out if they're offering it for a measly $200, which is probably what you're owing for the diagnostic. As a result, the customer ends up with nothing.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Now, most people are responsible and they'll have their broken car removed, but some people just do not care and they'll simply forget or just stop communicating with the repair facility altogether. These situations are becoming more and more common and happen every day. So what can the mechanic or the repair facility do? Well, they have several options. They can impound the vehicle actually, and they can have the lot come and get it, and then the lot will hold it and charge the registered owner all the fees and towing associated with it, and they can even get repair money for the repair facility from the customer just to get their vehicle back. Now, these impound lots will eventually send these vehicles to auction if nobody comes and claims them and pays the bill, just to satisfy whatever fees they have owed on it or satisfy anything the repair facility is owed on it. Now, this isn't the best option for a mechanic. It's probably the best option for the impound lot itself because they're the ones that get the most out of this. They do the least amount of work. They just hold the vehicle there and then they make the most money out of it, whether they sell it to auction or the customer comes and pays the impound lot to get the vehicle back. So we don't see this as common in our area of the country. Comment and let me know if you have seen this before though. Now, the main thing you'll see a mechanic do is issue a mechanic or storage lien on the vehicle. Now, this is a little more of a drawn-out process involving sending letters to the registered owner and jumping through hoops at the DMV. Basically, the mechanic files paperwork saying he's issuing a lien on the vehicle for the amount of the repairs and or storage fees on top of that. The shop has to wait 15 days for the letters to be delivered, giving all the information to the registered owners, and then they can post an auction date on the DMV website to auction the vehicle off to the highest bidder. They get to pick the auction date and time as well, and it's usually held at their location. If nobody shows up to the auction, then the shop is free to buy the vehicle from themselves and take possession of it to sell it for the highest price they can. Now, each state has different rules, but this is how it works in my home state of Virginia. Now, I've done this process several times, and nobody has ever showed up to the auction. And that's probably because I've never done a vehicle worth more than $15,000, so there wasn't much of a reason for them to show up. Now, let's go over a couple vehicles that have been left on my lot in the past couple of years. Now, I'm going to tell you how long these vehicles have been here, what was wrong with them when they brought them, and how long it took me to get these vehicles where I have full ownership of them, and I could finally move them where they weren't some paperweight project sitting in the parking lot. The first up, we have a 2013 Lincoln MKT with a 3.5 liter Durotech motor in it. This thing originally arrived in July of 2022 with a transmission problem, and we discovered when we removed the transmission that the turbo was bad as well. The original cost of the repair was $7,500, and it took the owner 6 to 8 months to reach back to us to let us know they were not coming to get their vehicle. By that time, we had already completed the mechanic storage lien on this vehicle, and we have full ownership of this vehicle. This Lincoln MKT had several problems, and they can be very touchy. It still has several codes we're trying to get rid of, and if we didn't own the vehicle, we probably wouldn't worry about them as much. But since we're going to be trying to sell it, most likely to another dealership, we're going to try to get all the codes off of this vehicle. Still a work in progress currently today in 2024. The next one I have is a 2013 Ford Fusion, and this vehicle arrived in November of 2022, and it's been sitting in this exact spot ever since. Now, this vehicle has no reverse, needs a transmission, and has several misfire codes on the engine, so it probably needs a tune-up as well. The original quote for a remanufactured transmission was about $5,500, and you can add about $800 to $1,000 for a tune-up as well. Now, this customer never even responded to the estimate, and I never even saw the person that owned this vehicle as it was towed in and put in this exact spot it's at right now. So we did a mechanic storage lien. We actually have full possession of this vehicle, and there will be an upcoming project video showing how we repair this thing. We're probably going to pull the transmission out, see if we can fix it, and clean up the inside and see if we can get the motor running nice and clean. Excuse me. This car does not smell good. As you can see, it is pretty nasty. The worst of it is the pile of maggots back here. Woo! I can't even. I can't even do it. Can't even. Now, this vehicle arrived back in August of 2023, and this is a 2006 Kia Optima. This car was brought here because it would not go in gear, and it has a manual transmission. It was diagnosed as a bad slave cylinder, which is inside the bell housing, meaning we got to remove the transmission, and we'll probably replace the clutch while we're there. The estimate to have it repaired was only $1,400, but the customer did not see the value in the car and simply left it. After we contacted him, he was actually able to send us a title, and he was very clear that he wanted nothing in return for this car. So I'm not sure exactly what the story is on it, but it's a pretty nice looking car, and it's only got a bad slave and clutch. So we're going to be fixing it up, and stay tuned for a project video coming out about this little thing. Now, if you've watched my channel, you may have heard me mention paperweight projects. Now, these are the cars that sit on our lot for years and never get moved, and they just become a paperweight. And that's what this one is. This is a true paperweight project. This vehicle arrived in July of 2017, and it's been sitting here ever since. It came here after a local used car dealer bought it at an auction and discovered it had a bad transmission. Well, this thing's an all-wheel drive, and it's very hard to get out of the car, so it's a lot of labor and a lot of time to do it. And of course, he did not have the time or money to do it. So it's sat here for literal years until I was able to finally go to the DMV and get a mechanic storage lien done on it. And now we have full possession of this vehicle, but it has been sitting since 2017. So it has a number of problems that have happened to it since that point. So it's going to be a bit of a project to complete. Back in the corner back here, we have a BMW, and this is actually a pretty nice looking car, even though it's been sitting up here for a number of years. This thing arrived about the same time as the Volvo. This is a 2008 BMW 550i. It's got a 4.8 liter V8 in it, and it came here with a big oil leak, and it stated that they needed a motor. And as you can imagine, a BMW motor cost a lot of money. And just like the Volvo, this BMW was owned by a local dealer who bought it for an expensive price at auction before he noticed that it had a major oil leak on it. It originally came here in about 2018, just a year after the Volvo, but it's been sitting on the lot ever since, and we're still in the process of working with the dealer to see exactly what they want to do with the vehicle. We may be purchasing it from them. We may be getting it sent on its way. With these vehicles, you never know the future. And with most of them, we're just trying to get the price of the repair back out of the sale, so we might be selling them for a nice discounted rate. Now, there's a few honorable mentions, if you will, over the years of cars that have come, sat, and then gone. And the first one is the 2004 Honda Pilot, and it's sat here for about 8 months with a bad transmission, and a customer sold the vehicle to us eventually, and we have a project video on it. If you want to go check that out, it's in the description below. The next is a 2007 Chevy Aveo, and it came here for broken suspension. We had to put a mechanic storage lien on it to get the title, and then we found out it had a blown head gasket once we fixed the suspension. So we ended up scrapping that vehicle, and we have a project video on that as well. And then we had a 2006 Hyundai Sonata, and I actually bought this one from another shop that somebody abandoned it at, and he finally got the title after a lien, and then he sold it to me. We fixed the transmission and did a project video on that, and it's in the description below. All of these cars being left abandoned, and that's not even all of them that I could give you. But it's happening more and more, and it's scary to think that over 50% of the auto mechanics in America are over 40, which means the demand to fix cars is going to go up significantly, and we're going to have less mechanics around to do it. So those prices for repairs are going to skyrocket through the roof, and higher prices means more abandoned cars. Since we know what we're doing sometimes, we're going to attempt to fix these vehicles and get them back into working condition so they can be reliable transportation for somebody. It may be an uphill battle, but we're going to attempt to fix them all. That's as long as I can get full possession of them. Now, some we may succeed on and others we may fail. But if you would like to follow me on that journey, you can subscribe to my channel, and I'll be posting project videos on all of these vehicles that I get possession of. And they will be posted right here to this channel. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram, where I post weekly content about the day-to-day things that I do. Thank you for watching, and always, whatever you do, however you do it, make sure you stay dirty, and you can just call me Eddie.